I got two really lovely things happen. One is a mother wrote to me and said, my little girl's at school, and there was a new girl started, and all the girls were really being horrible to this new girl, because, of course, children need to find connection and avoid rejection, and what they do is often they reject a new kid in order to feel bonded. And she said, my little girl, who's only 7, said to the group, look, we're all enough, and she can join us because we're enough. And then she went up to her and said, you're enough, and you can join us. And she didn't allow them to ostracize that kid. And then another mother wrote to me and said that her son had been really badly bullied, and they had to write an essay about themselves in school. And this bully went up to her son and said, I want you to write down on your thing that you're an ass and you're an idiot and you're a jerk. And he said, you can write that if you want to. I'm writing something. He wrote, I'm enough. And the bully just started to leave him alone because he simply couldn't penetrate him. So I found the teachers and the parents that do this do great stuff, because even if you know that you're enough, you might have a son or a daughter or a brother or a sister or, I have lots of staff, and I do it with them because they're young girls, and it's really good for their self-esteem. And don't just do it for you, do it for other people, because it has such a knock-on effect. That guy in Spain whose daughters love it, the 2 different parents who said they stopped being bullied, all comes from this ability to know. When you know you're enough, what's so amazing is everyone else knows it too, and people stop being mean to you or trying to diminish you, because when you're enough, you don't ever need to let that in.
Yeah, that message to me is so powerful. And I know you have so many amazing stories about that message. I think, you've said you've had people send you photos of them with their mirror and all the T-shirts and stuff you get. And I think you even I saw a picture of someone had it tattooed on their hand.
I've got a picture of a woman of 85 who's just done my Uncompromised Life program. She's tattooed it right up her arm. I've got so many people who've got that tattooed on their hand. In fact, I was giving a talk for Ernst & Young, and they booked me to do another talk straight off the stage. When I went back, this girl ran out and said, look, and she'd written it there, and she said, you changed my life in just 5 minutes. And now I have that. She goes, and I see it when I'm driving the car, and I see it when I'm waving, I see it when I'm putting on my makeup, and all my kids say it every day. And actually, she's actually left London and gone to live in Thailand. And she said, knowing I'm enough gave me the motivation to find my dream. And she films videos, but she's got a whole new life. People send it to me from all over the world. People send it to me. I've now got it in Sanskrit, in French, in Italian, in German, in Korean, in Japanese. I've even got it in Creole. So my big bathroom upstairs, I have it written in every language. And I've got a Twitter feed called I'm Always Enough, I Couldn't Get Enough. I'm Always Enough. And if you go on there, it's up there in pretty much every language in the world, even Russian, and even Chechen. And I love that.
Yeah, I think I love the fact that those words can help. Oh,
that's my I'm enough. Yeah,
that's so great.
I know, I have it lots of jewelry that says, and people keep sending me. They send me cookies and cupcakes and jewelry and cushions, and wall plaques and pieces of art, and I've even got it, written in photos written in sand on beaches. It's really lovely that everywhere I go, that becomes my little motto.
Oh, I love that, because I think it can flow into other parts of your life. Because I know one of the books you wrote was about weight loss. And if people think that they're enough, then they're not compensating with all these other addictions, including food addiction. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like that classic thing. You're dating someone, they dump you, you come home and you go straight to the cookies. Or you have an argument with your husband and so you go and eat candy. When you know you're enough, you don't need more. And you don't think, oh, I've had a bad day. Where's the Ben and Jerry's? I need the whole tub. And also when you know that you're enough, you can deal with other people being mean. You never have to let it in. And I used to teach my daughter that, you know what, darling, if your teacher's mean, it's not about you. My daughter, I noticed that her teacher was going through the menopause, and it was very confusing. To me, it was confusing. One day she'd be lovely, the next day she would be awful. And I thought, wow, this woman is seriously having a bad time, because she'd be so nasty. I was telling her something about my daughter one day. She'd hurt her arm. She fell off her back. She goes, oh, I'm not interested in that. And the next day I went in, she went, oh, how is poor Phaedra and how's her arm? I thought, wow, she confuses me. What is she doing to a class of 7-year-olds? I said to my daughter, you know, darling, your teacher, you know, mummy has a period. She's a bit cranky. She said, oh, yes, mummy. I said, well, your teacher's like that every day. Because she kind of has like a period every day, and she's and I want you to remember, it's not about you. It's not about you. She's just having lots of hormones and things, but it's not about you. And she came home and she went, Mummy, I think my teacher had a pyramid today because she was very mean. And I said to the whole class, it's not about you. She's having a bad day. And I thought that was so cool. A, she called it her pyramid, and B said, and you don't have to let it in. So I used to always, because that's another really important thing. You know, you can't stop people being mean and hostile. We live in a very, very stressful world where the traffic's bad, your internet connection doesn't work, your phone dies just as you're about to put in a route. I was getting an Uber the other day, and just as I pressed it, the whole phone died. I'm like, oh no. And then I was trying to get some extra connection, and my daughter was getting really stressed. I'm like, look, it doesn't matter. But it's very easy to be stressed and then to be cranky. And you have to learn not to allow that in. And when I'm doing shows like this, people often say to me, you know, what is one bit of advice you could give to the listeners, apart from the obvious, telling yourself you're enough? When people are mean, just decide not to let that in. And I have a little TED talk about that, but I can talk you through it very quickly. So if someone says something really horrible to you, like, oh my God, Jane, why did you wear yellow? That so doesn't suit you. That's an awful color on you. You just look at them and go, thank you for sharing that, because thank you for sharing that means, okay, that's your opinion. I don't have to let it in. And every time you say, thank you for sharing that, like when people go, oh, why did you cut your hair? It doesn't suit you, or you should never have volunteered, you know, to speak at that event. You were terrible. You just say, thank you for sharing that, because in saying that, you're saying to them, it's your opinion. I don't have to let that in. And it really works for the everyday barbs that people give off when they're just particularly feeling bad. Sometimes people will say things that involve a little bit more of a response, and thank you for sharing that. So if someone came up to you and said, you know, Jane, I listened to your podcast, I hated it, you were terrible, you stank up the place and it was awful, you just say, Jane, I didn't get any of that. Could you repeat that for me, please? Because I didn't hear it. Whenever you say to someone, please repeat that, they usually won't, because they already know that you're going to call them on it. And they usually go, oh, I'm just having a really bad day, me and my big mouth, just ignore me. When they retract, don't ever go off and go, no, I want to know what you said, tell me what you said. When you say, please repeat it, and they go, oh, forget it, me and my big mouth, I'm just having a bad day, I'm just being bitchy or cranky, allow them to retract it. If they do, to go, yeah, I just said that you were so wooden when you gave that talk, there's an insult to word, then you go, oh, are you trying to make me feel really bad about myself? And they're usually amazing and go, no, I wanted to tell you that you were so bad at speaking at events, because I thought if I told you that, you might get some coaching or never speak again. And I had an event with my mother once where she was telling me something, and it was so critical. And I said to her, Mum, are you trying to make me feel bad about myself? She went, oh, darling, no, I'd never do that. I just want you to know what I think so that you can do better. And I realized then that for all her criticalness, she didn't mean it. I was in a shop with her, and someone rang me and said, oh, there's a big article about you in Cosmopolitan. So I ran to the newsstand and got it, and I ran back and said, oh, look, Mum, Cosmo have written about this audio I've done for relationships. And she said, you shouldn't do relationships because you're not good at them. And that's really good. I'm like, really? This is my mum. And I'm like, Mum, why are you saying that? And she said, oh, darling, I just want you to do all the things you're really good at, because I wasn't married and I was a single parent. She thought that was a massive fail on my part. And so I realized that although that was very hostile, she didn't mean it. So when I said, why are you saying that? And she said, are you trying to hurt my feelings? She said, no, darling, I'm trying to help you. It didn't hurt me because it was a mean thing to say. but she didn't mean it. I remember years ago, Nigella Lawson saying that when her husband was dying, people would say, "Oh, Nigella, you'll find someone else. You'll find someone else." And she was so hurt that they'd say that. And I would say, but look, listen to what they're saying. They're saying you're so beautiful. You're so amazing. You're so lovable. You won't be on your own. And in fact, she was married 10 months after her husband died. She loved her first husband, but she found someone else because she's an amazing person. And she had to listen when people said, "You'll be married again within a year," and realize that it was the intention you got to listen to, not the wording. But if you say to someone, "I missed that, please repeat it," and they say, "Yeah, I just told you that you were terrible, terrible, terrible at your job, did an awful job," then you go, "Are you trying to hurt my feelings?" They go, "Yeah." You just go, "That's not going to work because I won't let that in." So if they happen to do say, "Yes, I want you to feel awful," you just go, "Well, I'm sorry, it won't work because I'm not letting that in." It's a bit like the first one. But when you say, "Are you trying to make me feel bad?" and they go, "Yeah," you go, "Well, it's not going to work because I won't let that in." And that always works. And you can add if you want to. You know, since we're sharing, did you know that critical people, I'm sure you do know, have the most criticism reserved for themselves? And when you do that, you're showing the whole office that you really don't like yourself very much. Bullies always leave people alone because they know you've got them. When you say you're showing everyone here that you don't like you, they will really back off. So it's just a good thing to zenly give back criticism. Thank you for sharing that. Could you repeat it? I didn't get what you said. Oh, you want me to feel bad about myself? I'm not going to let that in. But since we're sharing here, do you know that critical people dislike themselves? And you're just showing me how much dissatisfaction you have with you. And it's a really nice kind of Zen way of just giving it back, not letting, you don't need to argue, you don't need to have an argument, you don't even need to be hurt. You just give it back, and then it doesn't hurt you anymore. Yeah, so not letting in is good.
Yeah, and I think that these simple tools that you have are so powerful because even as adults, we let ourselves get bullied. Yeah. And we might not realize that it's bullying that's happening when someone says something mean to you or something that's really critical, and we don't know what the comeback is. And one thing I really love, Marisa, is when you say, if someone retracts something, let them retract it. Don't push them. Yeah. Tell me, because I think we're like, well, I want to hear what you said, even though maybe you did hear what they said. If you say to them, "No, what? I didn't hear what you said. Would you mind repeating that?" I think that probably the majority of people would say, "Oh, well, never mind," because they will realize I was having a bad day, and that's mean. I don't need to say that. And then the people who don't, you have that tool to take it further and say, "Are you trying to hurt my feelings?" Wow. I mean, to me, those are some powerful tools.
Because you'll get people who go, "Well, I just say what I think. I should tell you that you've got big feet or you're far too fat to wear leggings." And, I have some relatives, one aunt in particular, who says that. "I just say whatever I think, and you're too fat to wear belts, and you shouldn't wear tight-fitting clothes with legs like that, and you shouldn't even wear trousers with legs like that." And they really think it's perfectly okay to say that. You just have to go, "Okay, well, I'm not going to let that in." See, I love the girl who did Girls, Lena Durham, when she was on Howard Stern. He said, "Wow, your legs look fat in shorts." She said, "Get used to it, Howard. I'm 30 years old. I'm going to be wearing shorts for the next 35 years. And you see how she just gave that back to him? "I like wearing shorts. You don't like my legs? What's that got to do with me? I'm blissfully happy appearing here in shorts." And you see, when you keep giving it back, people can't hurt you because you're refusing to let it in. And not letting in criticism of other people is such a wonderful thing. Only bettered by not letting in your own criticism. That's even better. But it's such an easy thing to do.
Yeah, well, the thing I love about you, and we got to meet up in London last month and have lunch with our husbands and the two of us. It was lovely. But what I love is I think you can just sit and talk to you forever because you're such a wealth of information. And I know you've been doing this for a long time. And one of the reasons, besides sharing these tips that are really powerful, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you over a video chat was so that you could share with people your current project, which is called the Marisa Peer Method, which is a school to teach people about what you do. So can you tell me and our listeners a little bit about that?
So there's two things. So people have been asking me for like 20 years, please teach me your method, because I usually can cure people even of depression in an hour, like that guy in LA who had depression and an eating problem and a drinking problem, and in half an hour he was a different person. So I teach therapists my methods. I teach doctors and nurses and psychiatrists. I also teach regular. I've got firemen on my course. I've got policemen and pilots and people in beauty and school teachers all coming to learn my method. And so I teach them how to get incredible results in an hour, how to uncover what's really wrong, because people who come in with problems usually have three problems, whether they're an alcoholic or they've got chronic depression or they've got things like migraine or dermatitis or eczema. They really have three things wrong. The first is, I don't think I'm enough. The second is, what I want isn't available. Depressed people believe there's no cure. I can't get better. A lot of people come in with unexplained infertility. I just can't have a baby, or I've got secondary infertility, or I'm never going to find love, or I'm never going to be successful. They have this powerful belief that says what I want isn't available. That's never true, but if you believe it, you stop yourself finding it. And the third problem is that they usually believe that I'm so different, I can't connect. And since our most powerful need on the planet is to find connection and avoid rejection, people who feel different can't connect. And often you'll find like the parents who haven't got any money but send their kid to a really expensive school and do 4 jobs. It doesn't really work, because that kid always feels different. The only black kid in a white school, I mean, I've had the opposite. Parents who send the only white child to a black school thinking that's good for them. Rich kids in a poor school, poor kids in a rich school, the first girl to go into puberty, people who've got parents at home that are dysfunctional, they begin to have this belief that I'm different. You look at poor Michael Jackson to see that once you feel different, you really can't connect. And often happens with child celebrities like Macaulay Culkin. I mean, they don't have a normal life, and then they lose the ability to connect. And of course, with addicts, what's very interesting is that when you can't connect to a person, you start to connect to a fruit machine. You start to connect to stuff. You start to connect to drugs or a bottle of alcohol, and you can look at down and outs and winos and how they only connect to other winos. So I only teach people, if you can address those 3 problems and fix them, you can fix anyone in the world of any problem. And what's happening on my course is it's really working. But even better is that although I've got the live classes and I teach those in Los Angeles, and I'll be teaching them in Florida and New York. I'm teaching one in Vancouver in November. But now we've got an online school called RTT. It's Rapid Transformational Therapy. And RTT teaches it online. And a lot of people say, how can you teach it online? But it's such an incredible, incredible course. And yesterday I was doing, when you join the online course, you get a webinar with me once a month. And this girl came on and said that she had Bell's palsy. And she completely cured it just by listening to one of my audio downloads, which was so cool. So I'm really proud of RTT, and it's predicted to become bigger than NLP. It's already, I think we just started to release it. We sold it a couple of months ago, but only to a trial group. I think it's going on sale on Monday again. We release it in sort of batches. And it's really exciting. And we've got people doing it in Dubai, in Australia, in New Zealand, in South Africa, all over the world. And therapists write to me and go, I've been a therapist for 20 years and I'm getting more results here. And a lot of therapists have said to me, I took your RTT and I shut my practice down, I reopened it. This week I got nice emails from a doctor who said, I did RTT. I've actually closed a very, very well-paid doctor's surgery, and I'm reopening it, just doing RTT, rapid transformational therapy. I had a few police officers who said, I became a police officer to help people and ended up just locking up drunks, and was very unhappy. And now I do rapid transformational therapy. So I am really proud of it because it's getting the most incredible results. And now I've got 2 hospitals in London doing clinical trials on what I do because they're so impressed with it. So it's really exciting and wonderful that I can help people, but now I can help other people help people when I help people. Because I love that expression that says if one person breathes easier on the planet because of you, your life has meaning and purpose. And so I have huge meaning and purpose because I do what I love. And I love what I do. But I really like it that all these other people all over the world are going, wow, I love this job. I wake up every day with meaning. I get letters from people saying, I was told I couldn't have a baby. And I had one session with you, and here's this baby. I did 6 rounds of IVF, nothing. I came to see you, and the next IVF worked because you kept commanding the embryo to implant and attach and stick. And people write and go, I've lost half my body weight, or here's the person I just married, or the job I just got. It's really lovely. So we're really excited about RTT online, and it's doing really well.
Well, I'm excited to share this with the people who are listening because I think the world needs to know about you, Marisa, and I think your message is powerful. And you know what, while you were talking about all of the people who have been using it, policemen and firemen, and I think about moms. Think about moms who are raising their kids and to have these powerful tools to be able to help them and get their kids to adulthood. And think about people who maybe are caught in the whole I'm not enough and they don't take criticism well. And, even if it's for your own personal use. I mean, I think I'm going to go on and purchase your course. I mean, I think you're amazing already. I love you so much. I just want to share you with the world. So I'm going to
just because this lovely girl came on my course all the way from Australia. She flew to London. She brought her 2 kids. And I used to do like a 5-day training, a 3-week gap, and then the next 5 days. And she stayed for that whole 3-week gap. And she told me later that she had no money and she took out a loan and it was expensive. She had to fly to London, stay in a hotel. She had to stay in London for 6 weeks. And now she's back in Australia. Her name's Sally Ann Guthrie. And she's got 2 clinics now. And she said, I make more in a day than I made in a week. She said, I'm making $250 an hour. I said, that's incredible for me because I did a job I hated. Now I do a job I love. She said, what's so cool is I do it around my children's hours. I start at 10, I finish at 4, take them to school, pick them up. And she said, it's so lovely. And then I had another really lovely girl from Dubai called Shireen, also a single mother. And she said, I had to do a job I hated, but long hours, like leave the house at 7, come back at 7. I didn't see my kids. My mum was a single mum. I never saw her. And I felt desperate that I was repeating that pattern. My kids are in daycare. She said, now I work in my home. I've got a little office. It's really nice. I've made a nice room. I work around my kids, only work when they're in school. And again, should I make more money in one day than I made in a whole week, putting in 50 hours and commuting on top of that? So it's not just great for mums, it's a great career for them. It's also a great career for people who've retired and said, I'm actually really bored, I don't like retiring. And there's not many jobs you can think, I do 10 hours a week, I'll do 6 hours a week. And also, there's no startup. It's not like opening a restaurant where you're terrified you're going to lose all your money, because you can just do it from your house. In fact, we do loads of sessions on Skype. I Skype clients all over the world. So you can sit there in your pajamas if you want to, as long as you look good from here up, and see clients. It's a great job. But the best thing about the job is that you make a difference in people's lives, which actually makes a massive difference in your life. So it's a real win-win. And I'm so lucky. I love what I do, and I do what I love. And I wish everyone could. I know you do what you love and love what you do, but we're really lucky. But it's nice that you can show other people you too can do what you love and love what you do and have a really nice income from it too. I mean, it's great, and great hours and freedom and immense job satisfaction. I mean, what more could you ever want?
Yeah, I mean, the service to people is a beautiful place to be. And that's why I think I gravitated so much to you when I met you. It was like, oh, this woman has a big heart. You just radiate service and goodness, and it was just so amazing to meet you. So I want to thank you for taking the time to come. And yeah, so thank you, Marisa. I really appreciate it. I'm going to provide all the information where people can connect with you. And I adore you. I love you.
I love you too, and thank you so much for having me on board. You're also an amazing person. I mean, you help people all over the world. You know, with Jane, when one of my family members had cancer, and I met Jane and I bought her herbs, and they made such a difference. So you too. I mean, you save people's lives. You change people's lives too. So they always say like attracts like. So we're the same.
I agree.
And that's a wonderful.
I've adopted you officially as my sister.
Well, we even look alike. So you're my sister in Utah.
I know. Yay. Well, thank you, Marisa. Kiss your husband, John. And
I will.
I adore you. I know you're 7 hours ahead, so it's getting ready to be close to going to bedtime pretty soon for you. And thank you for taking time.
Okay, my darling. I love you. I'm sending you lots of love. See you soon.
Lots of love too. Bye-bye, Marisa.